Okay. We do have a fair amount of content now. When I was putting together this training session, there's kind of, I'll call it like a mishmash, but there's a few different things that we're talking about here in terms of lease expirations, merges, and wanted to we'll spend a little bit of time, a few minutes anyways, going over from the agent's perspective what the widgets and some of the stuff that I do think that they will benefit from having on their dashboards. So let's spend a little bit of time going over that as well. So first thing I wanted to mention was, or start going over, are the lease expirations. Now, within the system, there are quite a few different places to find the lease expirations if you want to search for them. Now, I will tell you that the lease expiration technology, some of it is old. For those of you who have been users for quite some time, Cindy, you'll remember this, and some of the others on the call will as well. But when, you know, for a time period, you could create from a contact record, you could add a new lease expiration. Well, in the process of doing that, it required you creating a space. And so there's a little bit of a disconnect, if you will, between entering a lease expiration on the space and entering it on the comp. Now, if you have a space, for example, in a building, and that building, I'm going to open up a building here. If you have a space in the building and the space gets leased, it becomes available. This, for example, this one's available. This space gets leased, and on the comp, you enter in who the new tenant is. That tenant that you enter on the comp will automatically flow down to the space when the comp is created. This is what ends up happening, though, on occasion, and probably more often than not, I would think, is somebody goes to create the comp. They don't know who the new tenant is, so they don't put it in. They create the comp, but they don't put the new tenant in. Time goes by, they figure out who the new tenant is, they go and they edit the comp, and they put that new tenant in. But then when they go back to run the report, they look and they say, well, wait a minute, where's the tenant? It's not on here. It's not on the space record. When the comp is created, that's when the tenant from the comp, the new tenancy, will flow down. Once the comp is created, even if you go in and edit that comp, it's not going to flow down. It's only on the new creation, not on the editing of the comp. Is what that means, and I understand that's a difficult concept, but is what that means is, if you don't add the tenant at the time the comp is created, you go in later and do it. You're going to edit the comp, but then you're going to want to go into the space and edit the space and add it there as well. Two places to put it. Now, I spoke to my man about that, and it's a big R&D initiative to change that, but we are going to be changing that. We realized that, and a lot of that is left over from, it was like that by design, but left over from before, from older technology. So we are going to be updating that. But for today, for tomorrow, for right now, at the time you're creating the comp, if you put the new tenant in, it's going to update the space, and that's where the lease expirations list comes from. Right here is from those spaces. If you add the tenant to a comp after the fact, that's when you're going to need to go into the space as well. And again, it's like that by design. Someone goes into a really old comp, maybe some tenants have already changed hands a few times. Someone goes into a really old comp and they add a tenant. You wouldn't want that tenant overwriting who you put in because it was, gosh, it could have been really old. So,
hey, Keith?
Yes.
I have a question. You said it's going to be updated. Do you know what the time frame is on that, and when it's updated, will it update? All of our records, will it update all of our records?
I don't have any details at all on it. It's not anything that's going to happen anytime soon at all. It's a huge R&D initiative. Right now, the biggest, I wouldn't even begin to even guess on a date of when that's going to be or what it's going to consist of. I really don't know, Cindy. I was just told that it is something that we're going to be doing. I will tell you right now, the biggest R&D initiative that we're working on that's kind of occupying us, I think, between now and even the end of the year is, as far as big initiatives go, is separating the listing and comp form. So right now, when you're creating an availability, for example, you have on the same form, you've got listing fields, you've got comp fields, you've got for lease, you've got for sale, you've got it all mixed in with each other, right? Well, they're going to be separating that. So the listing, they're completely redoing the form. So the listing, right here, when I open it, the listing is only going to have the listing fields. The comp is only going to have the comp fields. And they're even going to, I believe they're even going to separate it. So if it's for lease, you're only going to see the lease listing. If it's for sale, you'll only see the sale listing. Versus right now on the form, the way you're looking at today, on this availability, I've got lease listing, I've got lease comp, I've got, you know, the rent schedule, sale listing, sale comp. They're separating all of that into separate forms. That's the biggest initiative.
What's the timeline on that?
What's that?
Do you know the timeline on that?
I believe it's going to be by the end of the year, if not sooner. But again, I don't know. I'm not on the R&D team, but I do know that that's occupying our R&D resources and budget for the remainder of the year, for the most part, for big initiatives. So, but going back to what we were talking about here, in terms of the lease expirations, the best place for you to get them, the best place in the system is going to be through the CTS Web Reports widget right here. Because this is pulling from the closed deals. You have one with contact info and one without. This is going to be the best place for you to run those reports. And it gives you some pretty good filters as well. But the lease expiration by default is year to date. But of course you can change it. Just even leave that blank. Right?
And that's accessible to the brokers as well?
This is accessible to the brokers, absolutely. However, keep in mind that they will only get the lease expirations for the deals that they're involved with. It's not a free-for-all, right? So, look, I'm going to log in as an agent. Okay, so here I'm logged in as an agent. I can go to, let's do with the contact info. And let's get rid of all this stuff so we can get some good results here. I don't have any closed deals. See that? I don't have any closed deals, some lease closed deals that are going to have that information. But when I ran it as an admin, I got all of them. So I'm just trying to, I wanted to show you that on purpose because I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that it's security driven. So yes, absolutely the agents can pull that data, but they have to have permission to see those records for them to be able to report on them, which I think is the way you would want it. I know that a lot of people are very proprietary about their lease expiration. So I'm just curious, Cindy, is that something that you want, or would you want the agents to be able to go and just pull all the lease expirations?
Well, I've got one of the brokers here shaking his head and think, so let me get his thoughts.
Yeah, Keith, it's Bill Rosenfeld.
Hi, Bill.
Okay, so, hey Keith. So let me give you kind of an example as I'm listening to this. So I've got a lot of lease expirations from deals that I did with Colliers. Okay.
Right.
So I bring all those deals over, have those comps put in, not deals because they're not really deals,
right.
but they're comps. Create the
right.
spaces, do all that stuff. Okay. And you're telling me the only way I can look at that is if I edit. When I put the name of the company in, make sure that it is a live company as opposed to either one leaving it blank or just typing in the name of the company. When I create new, right?
Right. You want it to be, yes, correct. You want it to be a company that you can click on it and open up the record.
Right. That's right. Which is obviously that's now. Let's assume, this is a pretty good assumption, that my admin didn't do that. He said, well, it's easier just to go ahead because Phil needs all these put in here. I'm just going to type in the company. Okay?
Yep.
So now I got to go back and have those edited and create those companies.
No, you can still, Phil, you should still be able to see the information, but it's going to be, we use the term it's stored flat. In other words, it's not a real record. It's just the text on there. So it'll show you, right. You could still do that.
But will it give me, when I want to pull up lease expirations, will it give me my lease expirations?
Yes.
From where?
As long as you're the agent on those, it's going to show up on your widget right here. If you're the listing agent on it, it's going to show up on your widget. But you could also go into, you could do this. You could go to comps. Phil, look, I'm going to go to comps, and let's just say I want industrial and lease expiration 1/1 of this year, and contacts, I'm going to go in and say, I'm a listing broker.
Right.
And now I have 10 records that match.
Okay.
But I'm the listing broker.
What if he's not the listing broker, but he's the source? He gathers the information and comes in and puts the comp in, and we put him as the source of that comp, not the listing broker, just the source.
Depends. With a normal agent's level of security, you won't be able to see them. With a normal
level? What security level would I need to give someone to be able to see something that that their name is anywhere on the record or on the comp?
Property admin or listing admin, property admin. Depends. If they're searching through the properties, that's going to be property admin.
Could you
all these are not necessarily going to be.
Could you search by source? Like, let's say the broker gave all the comps, and he was.
You can search comps by source. Absolutely. So actually, that's a very good point. You could do that. I wasn't even thinking of that. Very good point. You could come in and say, show me. I think there's source on here. Is there?
There is. Well, it should be. Kara.
I'm not seeing source
under
here.
advanced search.
Yeah, it's under the advanced. That's where you'll see it. Source contact, right there. So here let's just go into a record here, and Let me just open up this comp right here. Okay, so lease expiration, let's say, is 1/1/18, and source. No, we'll do that in contacts here. It is. Okay, so I just added this guy as our source. So now, okay, so now if I come in here and say lease expiration is 1/1/18, 1/1/18, and add and bear with me here. There's our record that we just added it to. So if Cindy, if Phil is added as the source of those, you can pull it up that way as well.
Okay.
Okay. But so when those were added, Phil, you're not added as a listing broker on those deals. They're just comps that you sourced yourself and then you had someone put in the system?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can always pull those out. You can definitely find, was your name added to them as a source? Were you added in any way, shape, or form to them or no?
Well, to a lot of them I do because I source a lot of comps. But, I mean, I'm more interested, although I do want, I mean, I don't necessarily, I know I can find that information there if I really wanted it. I do think that it's important that the young brokers have, you know, can go look. I mean, that's for them. They should be looking for leases that are expiring in their marketplace. Those are the targets they should be. Those are their targets. I mean, if they see that the tenant rep broker was Adam Graham on it, you know, they should be going to Adam and saying, hey, Adam, this one's coming up for renewal. What's going on?
Okay.
And, you know.
So they can, so let me just, and I might have misspoke here. If they come here under properties, under lease expirations, they could just be a normal user without additional security, Cindy, and they could do a search and they could pull up lease expirations.
The other guys.
These are only though as accurate as what you guys put into it. The most accurate list that you're going to get of lease expirations is going to be from the CTS Web Reports widget right here. This is going to be the most accurate data because this is pulling from the closed deals.
Which one? The lease expirations?
Yeah, from right here. So this is going to be the most accurate. But your agents, Phil, as you said, the young guys, they could go in, they could hover over properties, click on lease expirations, and they could do a search and pull up whatever's in there, unless the record has been made private. If the record has been specifically made private, then they won't see it.
It just won't show up, yeah, which is no big deal.
Right. It just won't show up to them. But for the normal, they'll be able to do it. But this is going to be the most accurate lease expirations list because this is pulled directly from the closed deals.
Okay.
I'm not saying your data is not accurate because I'm sure it was or is, but this is going to be even more accurate. Okay. But this is security dependent versus this list which isn't.
Right, because it's based on other data
Right.
as opposed to internal deal completion data.
Correct. That's exactly right. So I think it's great. I hear the opposite, Phil, that, you know, I don't want the young guys being able to go in and just poach all my stuff. I want let them do it themselves, you know, let them find the data out themselves, sort of thing. Not agreeing with it. That's just what I hear more often than not, is how do we keep those private versus let's open them up and they should be talking to the agent who did the deal or the agent on it.
Well, they should be doing that if the agent did the deal in-house. I mean, is in-house here. They definitely should be. But we've got probably 7 to 10 agents that are no longer here but are still on the deals, and those should be free game. And then, you know, young brokers, you know, they have a close relationship with their broker, should be telling their broker, if the broker doesn't already know, that they've got a deal expiring.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I like your thought process. I think is certainly more conducive for communication between the agents and the younger guys. You know, maybe getting some deals that otherwise would slip through the cracks.
Steve, if they have a junior broker or agent that's put on their team or part of their team, can they see what they enter, what that broker enters?
On the closed deals, you mean, from here?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
No, not on the comps.
Yeah, you'd have to go in. You'd have to go in and change everything on that deal, that past deal, to do that. I don't know. I think that's worthwhile doing, because you can't just change the team and then it affect all the other records. You'd have to go record by record.
Well, there shouldn't be any comps that we're making confidential other than just putting that CONF, which is kind of an honor system.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah,
So, hey Keith, this is Trey. I just walked in. We just have a kind of a dummy rig where we put CONF and all in caps. Which field is that?
Record ID.
Under record ID.
Internal ID.
And that's just internal ID CONF, and that just tells the broker that, you know, typically the client that wanted it kept confidential, and so we just don't share those.
Well, we've got a button we check that are confidential also, and it
Yeah.
won't come up.
It what?
It won't come up in a search. If you go specifically to that building and look for the comps in that building, you can get it. I think that's it.
Well,
and have this so that it's.
Well, hold on. No, the idea was that they would pull up and it'd just be on the honor system, right? So are you saying that we're actually marking some confidential and they won't show up in a query?
Well, yeah.
Why?
Because when we run reports, or say we've got somebody who wants
So,
50 comps.
hey guys, let's kind of keep going here.
Okay.
So you know, just remember, this list is kind of open to the public within your office versus the lease expirations here. But if somebody is on the team, a junior broker is on the team of that, they will be able to see it. If they have permissions to see that closed deal because they're on the team, then they'll have permissions to pull it up here. Okay?
But again, is anybody privatizing that?
Shouldn't be.
Nothing I'm aware of. Only CONF.
Hey Keith, real quick. So if you go to all lease expirations under lease expirations.
Right here, yep.
Yeah, right there. Hit that. So you notice you've got pretty much pulled up all lease expirations. I don't know what those are because it doesn't say expires. Although it has a field for it, it doesn't say when the expires are. So that pulled up a whole host of.
Yep. And that's because that's pulling from the space right here.
So if you went to our database, it'd there'd still be holes, but it'd be more complete. Right?
No, I just pulled up all lease expirations.
Because this is just showing you the building, and there's a space in the building with that lease expiration. It's not at the property level.
Oh, it's not at the space level. I see. So you're
It's
just
at
so
the space
that's
level,
go to
right?
the building. Right. Okay.
Right.
That's not right either.
So like right here, this one, West Manchester, if I open it up and go to a space, you're going to see, nope, I was wrong. There's a comp
Yeah,
that
it
has
would
it.
be the top one on my list is actually San Diego, California.
Yeah, but you have to do a tenancy search, right? To get, that's usually the best way to look up lease expirations is a tenancy.
Well, you can pull it up that way. It's the same type of list. The difference is the contacts are on the left instead of the right. But it's really all pretty much all the same information. It's pulling, the data is pulling from the same.
It's from the same comp. It's pulling from comp information, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The comp is updated. It's pulling from the property, but the comp is what's updating the property. This tenancy list has more information. So this has the phone numbers and the email address right on the list, whereas the other one doesn't. So if you're prospecting off of this list, then I would say, Trey, you are right. If you're running a report, that's different. But if you are just looking at the list and you're going down and you're prospecting, I'd say this is better because now you have the phone numbers without having to open it up and find them. Or you have the email, which you can just click on and open up, and it, you know, it's addressed, and you can send that that tenant an email.
Right.
But the way to look, I would say the best way to look for your lease expirations for the deals that you did are from the CTS Web Reports widget.
Well,
Agree.
yeah,
That's just closed in.
that's true for everybody that's been here and did all their deals here at Lee. Mine aren't going to show up there.
Yeah. So we.
Right.
That's the last place I would
5 years from now, that'll be correct for me. But,
Yeah, I wouldn't go there either if all it's doing is pull an internal deal.
correct. I would know. It's not.
Well, it's pulling your lease expirations. I think the idea is if you want to make sure that you're up on your lease expirations to make sure that you get the renewals when you need them and whatnot off your deals, this is going to be the best place to look.
So you're assuming renewals on in-house listings versus renewals on your sphere of influence, submarket, whatever that you're working.
That's exactly right. If you're just prospecting, then yeah, this is not going to be good because these are all people that you know, deals you did. If you're looking for deals outside of what you did, but just what's in the system, then you're going to want to search here.
Yeah, it's not really even good for listings because you may have taken on a portfolio of tenants that you haven't even done an in-house deal with yet, and it's still part of your in-house portfolio. So.
Right. Right. You gotta put that all the rent rolls in there to know when those lease expirations. I mean, that's what I had to do with mine. I had to put all those in there so that I had the lease expirations. But all those lease expirations show up on the lease expiration widget, which is good. I mean, it's just they're right there already. You give me 2 years of what I have out in front.
I go to a tenancy search.
Yeah.
Either one, tenancy or lease expiration.
Yeah.
Much better than closed deals. That's just internal.
Okay. Let's move.
All right, guys, let's talk about, so are there any other, I mean, I like the conversation, so but is there anyone else outside of the Dallas office that has any questions about this? No? Okay. Because I see others, there's a few other people on the call, but I haven't heard anything from you guys. So if you have any questions, please just shout them out. Okay. So one of the other things I wanted to go over was the mail merges. And so, you know, in the system, you have the ability to generate mail merge documents. And before I do this, I'm going to filter this list because when you're working with the mail merges, think about it that it's exporting. That's what you're doing, is you're exporting the data. Now, typically when you export it into an Excel spreadsheet. But you have the ability to export it into mail merge documents. Okay? Well, if you notice though, on here it says export all records in the list. It does not say export checked records or selected records rather. And the reason I'm saying this is I see people all the time select a bunch of records, they go through and they'll go through a couple pages worth and they'll select all the records they want. Then they go to the export and it says export all records in the list, not export selected records. Then they can't figure out, well, why did I get all these extra records that I didn't want? If that is the case, you're going to select the records you want. If just by using the filters doesn't get you what you want, select them and then filter your list. It dumps everything else. So now when you export all the records in the list, you're getting just the ones that you wanted. In this case, I have 5. So now I can export all the records in the list. Now, with the lease expirations, you have the lease expirations export. Just puts into Excel. And if you notice, and let me do this so it'd be easier to see. Here's the information that's exported. You have the lease rate, the move-in date, lease expiration date if it's entered, tenancy information, who the agent was on the deal, the agent's phone number. So this is a pretty good export to have in terms of the data. However, there are some people that want to put together a mail merge document. And if that's something you want to do, you absolutely can do it. Maybe you want to put together a mail merge document that's going to pull the tenant's information, the property information, the lease expiration information into a letter that you're sending for a renewal or to try and get business from them. If you're creating one of these, now let me just back up for a second. In Contacts, we have a series of mail merge documents already there for you. There's an envelope, there's a letter, there's 5160 labels, Avery 5160 labels, and Avery 5160 something, another number of labels, different types of Avery labels that are pretty common. Those are already in the system. But that's really the only place in here you're going to find the mail merge documents that are already made for you. You have the ability to put them in yourself, and it's extremely easy to do. When you want to create one, you're just going to choose the export. Oh, actually, I'm on the demo site. Somebody put this in. Nope, and it was blank. Someone put it in as blank, which doesn't help anybody out. Shoot. Here we go. Huh. I'm going to delete that because it's useless. Okay, so when you're creating a mail merge document, watch how easy this is. I'm going to choose the export. I need the export up here, but I'm not going to hit this button. I'm just going to get a blank document with bound data. This is a Word document. And now, under mailing, these are all the fields that I can put in my mail merge document.
Maybe I'll bring it over to you.
This is what I like to do sometimes, is just go through and add all the fields that I want to add and then go back and format them. And just so you guys know, this is a limitation that Microsoft Word has. This is not our software in terms of letting you be able to format it when you're selecting them. This is 100% Microsoft Word. So,
Standard, like letter that goes with a lease or.
Okay, so file, save as. This is important, guys. When you're saving it, do not change the format. If you notice, it's not just a Word document. It's an XML document. Leave it that way. So, and actually, before you do that, I could say, you know, dear Mr., and I could put who the tenant's name is, right? I can insert the tenant's name in there. All right.
We do a little bit more detail with this.
Here's the tenant name, you know, thanks for whatever. And then have the address, whatever. I mean, you guys get the point. But you can do your letter before you save it. So now, file, save as, and I'll just name it Lease Expiration Letter. What you name the document is not what is going to show up in this pull down. Okay? Now that I saved it, I go to Admin. The new button is our green circle. What you put here is what the name is going to be. So all right. When you put this in, by default, this is public, meaning anybody can use it. But if you want to build these and you have at the bottom of your letter your agent's own signature, salutation at the bottom, right? So it says, sincerely, Trey Fricky, or sincerely, Phil Rosenfeld, and you have all your information and on there. You can always put it in as private. Public is no. Whoever is listed as the owner, they're the only person that will see it. So if you wanted to put it in as private, you could. So the only people that would see it would be an administrator. So going to the Dallas system, for those of you not in Dallas, you know, Cindy, you would see it as an NA, and then Phil, you would see it if it was private to just you. So I'm going to hit upload, find where I have it on my hard drive, and upload. Now when I close this, it's still not here because I need to refresh it, and there's 2 frames here. So rats. I have a whole list. I'm not going to export the whole list, so I'm going to select the first page. I'm going to filter them. Now when I go to export, look, there it is right there. Mailings, finish and merge, edit individual docs. I want all of them. And I got an error message. Dang it.
Yeah, it never happens here.
Yeah, that is not. And I built some mail merge documents in prep for this in the contact section without any issue. Something to do with
Now
it.
you feel our pain, my man.
Hey, I feel your pain every single day. Don't think I don't. All right. I will make sure we get that working so you guys can build your letters. But hopefully everybody saw the process of what you would do to build the actual mail merge document. And guys, it's just as long as we're talking about this, it is not restricted to just the lease expirations. As I said, you could go in and build them anywhere you want.
Didn't you build that initially from a property record as opposed to a contact
No,
record?
I was on the lease expirations list.
And but that's a property record, right? Not a
Yeah, that's pulling from the property, correct.
Right, okay.
You could do it in comps too. You could go to comps so you could build a mail merge document as well.
Right, well that's just a property record, so yeah, I mean.
Right. Yeah, you absolutely can build it.
Yeah, we usually do things from the contact. I didn't realize you could pull from property records and just pull out that information. That's really good.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Look, here's someone put in a test Word document in comps. You can, I don't know what's in here, but and it's blank. So the problem with dealing with this demo site is different people are in here, but you can build those mail merge documents wherever you want. Like I said, the most common place that people use it is in Contact, but don't limit yourself if you find that you're doing the same types of, you know, if you find that you're sending the same people letters or whatever it is, labels that you need to generate, rather than do it manually, build a mail merge document. The functionality does work. I would encourage you to do that, and you know, because that way it's a whole lot easier. Of course, I chose a blank one. It's a whole lot easier to have
If you want to use our database as an example, we've got a lot of them in there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Can I use that export to create my own report,
Yeah.
like the one that I've asked you to look at?
Well, yes, but you would be doing it in Word, Cindy.
Oh, then never mind.
So you don't have the ability to build them in Excel, but I will tell you this, I have had a client, watch, let me just filter this because there's 48,000 records.
It would be the end of the world. I mean, we're not doing total.
No, we sometimes sort by it.
You can still sort Word, I thought.
So guys, if you notice, if for everybody else, if you notice, this is a Dallas system. They have, you guys are using the heck out of this in terms of all of these. I'm sure these are Mark Graybill. You've got movers and shakers. All of these that say Word, these are all custom mail merge documents. So you can see they put them in, you know, for marketing. There's thank you letters. There's golf apps for money letters, introductory calls, you know, things about you know, missing you in terms of probably missed an appointment or something like that, or whatever the case is. This is a great example of all of the Word documents that they built in here. But Cindy, is what I was going to say is you could always do this, and we did have I have had a couple clients do this with a comp report. Look, this is our blank document, right? So now I'm going to insert a table. So you could always insert a table and put column headers on top of however you want. You can, you know what I mean? You can kind of pretty this up and do on your table so it displays the information that you want. You could always build something like that. It will be in Word, but if you have the fields that you want and then below is all the data, you absolutely could do that. Because remember, this is just Microsoft Word that you're working
Right.
in. You can insert, you know, use Word in terms of inserting the dates, so it automatically populates, and other information that you can do within Word. I guess my point is you could get creative if you wanted, and do that. There certainly is no harm in doing that at all. And you can put on, when you're doing that, you know, you do next record. Word has that where you can do the next record functionality.
Right.
And so you don't have to put each one. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's, where is it? It's not, these are the fields, but then there is, they changed this. This is a new, this version of Word, they changed it, but there's a, you know, Cindy, if you want, I can do a little bit of research on this. I just need to Google in Word how you insert the, it's not the fields, it's the action. It's the merge action, where it's like next record and it used to be right up here, but I just might not have it turned on my toolbar. But so I guess the point I'm trying to make, folks, is take advantage of the mail merge documents, whether it's in contacts or where we kind of originally started with this, which was lease expirations. But definitely I would take advantage of those documents if you find that you are sending out the same types of letters over and over again, where it's the exact same text. The only difference is the person's name is different on top, or that sort of thing. You know, you think about here just what the Dallas office has done and is doing with all of these letters and stuff. You know, if it's very little effort for you to get these letters out, the more you're nailing with your clients with documentation and whatnot, the more you're on their mind, that's for sure. So definitely I would take advantage of that. Are there any questions about the mail merge documents from anybody? When we get done with this call, I'm going to figure out what the deal is with the tenant expiration export, why that didn't work. But I just want to make sure there are no questions. All right. Okay, great. Kind of one of the last things that I wanted to do was go in and kind of from the agent's perspective to go into the system. And I know that I don't know how many of your offices, let me ask you this actually, and this is where for those of you on the call that just have your phone on mute, go ahead and unmute it so you can answer for me. Are there any of you on this call that are not allowing, or let me rephrase that do not have any agents logging into the system at all? Any of you? So all the offices represented on this call, you guys all have agents that are logging into the system? Okay, fantastic. That's great. I asked the question because I know we do have some offices that the agents do not log in. In some cases, the OMs don't even give them access. It's not that the agents don't want to, they're not allowed to. In some cases, they're allowed to, but they just don't even know what's available to them. So I would encourage you, for those of you, and it sounds like everybody on the call has agents logging into the system, some of the things that you can do to help their experience or help with their adoption in it. And look, the benefit of their adoption of using the system is they're going to be coming to you a lot less to ask for things like reports, to ask for things like just information that they could get themselves. They just maybe don't know that they could get it themselves or don't know how to get it themselves. So they're relying on you to get it for them. I'm logged in just kind of an agent level of security, and you can see from the widgets, I've got my 10 most recent lease expirations. As we talked about, the most accurate is going to be from the CTS web reports for their lease expirations. This is showing because the agent that you're logged, the agent has to be listed as the listing broker on the deal, whether it's at the property level or at the comp level. When it copies down, they have to be listed as the listing agent for it to show on their widget. Otherwise, the widget's going to be blank. Now, they can still have a button that they press that just loads everything, which can be kind of handy for them, but it's probably overkill to load everything. But the idea is they have visibility into their commissions. They have visibility into their top 25 open balances. They have visibility into their year-to-date and month-to-date numbers. You know, whether it's where they rank within the company or, more importantly, what their gross commissions and net commissions are. If you guys are using the contacts module, they can schedule callbacks. They have the top 10 agents scrolling. Some people like that, some not so much. Receivable, if they want an aging report. Yeah, they have a widget that shows them their open balances, who owes them money, and of the money that's owed, how much is coming to them, gross. All of that's on here, but maybe they want an aging report, so before they make a phone call to tell their client, you know, you owe us this money, when am I going to get paid? it's kind of nice to be able to pull up an aging report and find out how long they've owed the money. So not only are you able to make the call and say, yeah, you owe it, but you've owed it for, 74 days you've owed us that money, or whatever the case is. It's going to be nice that they'll have visibility into that. And then, I have a couple widgets on here in terms of saved searches. I think this is important for all of you, especially for you guys as part of Lee & Associates, is to have a link, and for those of you that don't know how to do this, certainly let me know, and I'm happy to help you set it up. But I think every single agent on their saved searches widget should have a saved search. They can name it whatever they want. I named this one My Listings, but you can name it whatever you want. But the idea is give your agents the ability at a single click of a button to pull up every single availability in the system that their name is attached to. Because remember, what you put in here is what powers the website, the Lee & Associates website. You want to make sure that they can very easily press a button and see what they have their name attached to as far as availability, if there's anything missing, right? It gives them the ability to audit their listings because this is what's going on the website. This is what's being broadcast to the general public.
I have a question on that, Keith.
Yes.
We are putting in availability so we can run a market survey for a client. They're not necessarily our listings, but we're putting them in and putting our guys as the source contact, and they're coming up as their listings when we run the exclusive listing report. Around that, because their name is attached to the listing, even though it's not public to web, it's not our listing.
Well, that custom report you guys have built, the exclusive listing report, that's any listing that a Lee & Associates DFW agent is attached to.
Attached
to that report's built.
Listing broker, source contact, whatever, right?
If there is a Lee & Associates DFW contact attached to that listing, regardless of what the role is, that's going to come up on that report.
Okay. We probably need to talk about that after.
Yeah. That's the reason why, just so you know, that's the reason why when Houston, and we're working on getting that report changed for them, because when they split off from you guys, they have that same report. Well, when they run the report, it comes up blank. But when I was testing it, if I add Trey, if I add you to one of their listings as a DFW agent, that record shows up because it's a DFW agent that's on there. So that report is hard-coded. It was built for just your exclusives. It has to be a DFW person on there. And the person is someone relevant.
We need to talk afterwards about changing that just for our office then.
Okay.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, I think we're going to be changing it for Houston, so we can probably incorporate those changes all at the same time.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably going to be the same changes anyways. So we can talk about that offline. But going back to this, with the search, and that's great, Cindy, with the report, but in my opinion, you should give them the ability not to have to run a report, or not for you to run a report for them, but for them to just click the one button and get a list. So at least they can look and say, well, where's Main Street? How come that's not on here? Or where this isn't the right square footage, or whatever the case is, they have the ability to look and see very quickly and easily, have visibility into what's going to be on the website. So, all right. Are there any questions I can answer for you? No? Okay. Awesome.
I have, Keith, are we muted? Keith, I have one quick question. Can you do me a quick favor? Can you do back to lease expirations? Can you go back to the Dallas site? I must be doing something wrong. The lease expiration search. You just go to properties, lease expiration, do a lease expiration search. Do a industrial course. Just do an expired for a year from today. Just do a South Stemmons market over at Market.
What is it?
South Stemmons, this is the very bottom. All the way down. More.
Right here? That was it.
That was it, yeah. There you go.
I get 13 of them.
Yeah, see, well, maybe I'm just doing it on my phone, and it's not coming up on my phone.
I had made some of them inactive,
All right.
so we can talk
Well,
about that after.
Yeah, just let me know. All right. So, guys, thank you very much for participating. I'll send the link out to this session. I hope you found it beneficial.
Yeah.
There were quite a few of you on the call that I didn't hear anything from, but hopefully you found it beneficial as well. But definitely let me know if anything comes up. I'll figure out what's wrong with that export. Cindy, let's talk. We can talk offline. I've got someone waiting for this room that I'm in. So,
Okay.
thank you. All right,
Thank
guys,
you.
have a great weekend, everybody. Trey, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Dawn.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.